This week, we find out what it's like to wake up in a box. This is Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Half-Ass Movie Podcast, a show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Portress, and I'm joined today by a man who dreams of the day that he can lock himself in a box away from his cold, cold world. Sweet Shones and Kovacs from the internet.
I know you can't see me, but I'm miming that I'm in a box right now.
Ooh, he can't get out, but you can just punch right through that box, as we've seen through many a comedy.
Won't someone please help that poor man?
He can't get out. We can't get out of this Ryan Reynolds phase, it seems, but we will. We will after this week. Don't worry.
This is the last of it.
This is the last one. This is a show,
and we have to ask the big question at the end of this episode too, which is Ryan Reynolds a good actor?
Yeah, and if there's any movie to find out the answer to that question, I think this week is a good one, because in so many times when you have movies and stuff, there's a lot of different elements to take into account. You know, you got your writer, you got your director, all the people, craftsmen that work on the film and everything, and of course yourself and all the other, members of your cast. Well, how does that work when you're the only member of the cast that's on screen the entire film? That's what we're talking about today. Buried from 2010, starring Ryan Reynolds and everything. And so, again, this is all leading up to the Deadpool Wolverine. This is the last of our Ryan Reynolds, and we're covering Hugh Jackman right after that. And then it's, of course, going to lead into Deadpool Wolverine, which may be the thing to save the movies this year. I don't know.
Well, the movies have already been saved because Inside Out 2 is just... Deadpool is really going to have to pull something off, like something insane, like the first Aquaman movie insane, in order for people to pay attention, because Inside Out 2 is already almost at $1 billion and it's in its second week. I mean, we're really close to it.
That's just wild to me, because I remember seeing Inside Out in the theater, and my thought was like, can't wait for the sequel for this. Boy, I hope they have a sweet follow-up real fast.
You know, my youngest saw it last week and said, it's good. I like it. And I said, did you like the first one? And she said, I don't really remember much about the first one. I had to rewatch it before I saw the second one.
Yeah, so it doesn't.
She liked it.
Okay.
Yeah,
not too bad.
It.
You know, listen, Disney's been kind of, hit or miss here for the last couple of bits. So it's nice to see, maybe something going in the positive direction for him here and everything. But we'll get to that big. I guess technically that's all Disney and with the Wolverine and Deadpool and stuff.
It is. That's Disney also. Yeah,
we're all still there. It's a weird thing to still think that's a real deal that's actually happened now, because it was in limbo for just so darn long. We were all just is this ever going to happen?
You know what I saw this week? I saw this thing this week on Reddit where somebody had made a movie poster, and I was like, holy crap, because I didn't think about this before. But, Disney now owns Predator.
Mm-hmm.
Disney also owns the Ewoks.
Okay, all right.
So the movie idea is that the Predator is hunting Ewoks. And I just love this idea. I love it so much.
I think I like Predator ends up coming to where are the Ewoks from again? Endor. He's going.
They're from the forest moon of Endor. They're not
true.
From Endor.
That's true. Thank you for that correction. I almost thought it when I said it myself. I'm like, ooh, that's not quite right. And then you called me out on it, and I was so thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, I had the thought in my head. You just completed it, and I was just like, oh, that's actually not correct. And then you just go, well, actually, and I'm like, well, fair. But if Predator went to the forest moon of Endor, and then. As he's trying to find something else, but comes across our evil Care Bears, and that's when he gets destroyed. That's what I was. Yeah, let's make that happen. Bob Iger, our phone number is available.
It's not my idea. I saw the poster on Reddit this week and was like,
we sent him to Endor, though. I think that's where we get to we get the and credit. At the bottom. So
story by
a little
person
something
who made poster and
we planted the seed, and we just watered it with the water of the internet, and it just grew and grew and grew into this lovely movie that we just made up. But we didn't make up 2010's Buried from Rodrigo Cortez. Before we get into that though, do we want to say thank you to people who support us over at patreon.com/HMP. Those people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. Help support this show at any level. Get yourself more programming in the exact same time. And vote on where this movie podcast is going here and everything. We'll have our official vote for what we're covering after our Wolverine Deadpool run here and everything. So you guys will be able to vote on that. And if you'd like to help this show out and point us in a particular direction, head on over to patreon.com/HMP and join up today at any level. We really appreciate and love all you guys. And if you can't do that, drop on down to the iTunes, give us a 5-star review, aka Humdinger.
Sir, your humdinger has arrived.
Oh, here it is. This one is this is a review, I believe. And because we asked people about this, if like, hey, since we kind of changed our formats here and everything, if you want to roll back and give us a new review, that'd be lovely. And I think Nate from Charleston has done as such for us.
Nate, thank you, Nate.
It's entitled "Love the Format, Love the Host." 5 stars. These guys are I put in the word very. I should take it out. He says very later. These guys are the best and a very original format. I've been listening for years, and this podcast is my favorite listen of the week. They are also very consistent, only missing a week or two in 8 years. It's about 10 years, but yeah.
Yeah. We missed that one week.
Yeah, I was literally like on my COVID deathbed here and everything. And
I remember
that was the only thing. And I like, part of me really wanted to do the show, but it would not have happened. It would have been the worst show that we ever did. So missing that 1 week.
I wanted to do it with Bruce, and Bruce was like, no.
Bruce was like, I can't. Well, I wanted them to, guys. I told them, I'm like, you guys do the show without me. I'll be okay. Please just do the show. And then Bruce was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I would do it now. But at that time, I was like, I don't know.
It was a little like, you never quite know, but it's not too bad. But yeah, so, and if you can't, or email us, we'd like to hear an email from you guys. halfasspod@gmail.com.
halfasspod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And when we get to the end of the show, well, I'm not going to say it at the, I'll save it for the after show and everything, just for the people over at patreon.com/HMP. When we talk about our rating system here at the end, I got a little extra something special for you. We'll talk about that in the post show. But putting that down on Front Street for you, a little way to sell the kids out there. Well, let's get into it. Here is the IMDb plotline for Buried. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Paul is a U.S. truck driver working in Iraq. After an attack by a group of Iraqis, he wakes to find that he is buried alive inside a coffin. With only a lighter and a cell phone, it's a race against time to escape the claustrophobic death trap. This is written by Chris Sparling. He recently wrote that Jerry Butler film Greenland, but right after Buried, he wrote another single location film that I will recommend called ATM. Pretty fun stuff, where just all horror movie that takes place just inside of one of those walk-in ATMs and everything. It's pretty cool.
The writer did that?
Yeah, the writer wrote the ATM flick.
So he seems to be about bottle episodes or bottle movies.
He's done some other TV and stuff like that. I think Greenland's a big kind of epic-y sort of thing. So I think that was just since he was hot off the trails of Buried and everything, I think they were like, oh, well, you can write this one more location thing. And of course, low budget horror. It's not going to cost anything to, film a movie inside of a glass ATM box and everything.
Dude saw a phone booth and was like, yes.
Yeah. Another one I really enjoyed. And I'm not the biggest, what's his face, Schumacher fan.
Yes, you are. You love Schumacher.
This directed by Rodrigo Cortez. He was actually kind of seen as one of the next big guys, like your
he was
everybody from like your Nacho Vigalondo to your Denis Villeneuve. These guys all kind of came around at the same time. Rodrigo Cortez was supposed to be one of those guys, but he never really got quite past Barry. He's done some other stuff, but nothing that was as notable as this particular film. And of course, it's starring Ryan Reynolds and people on the phone.
Yeah.
So, Sean, have you had not seen 2010's Buried previous to this?
I had not. I remember that there was some buzz was it Sundance that it premiered at? I think it was Sundance. And I remember hearing about it. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Because Ryan Reynolds still, I don't even think he had done Green Lantern yet, right? I think this is before that.
Yeah, this is even before that because this is like literally 1 year right after the proposal.
And so
this is his next follow-up thing to that, where he's like, well, I'm starring in a movie where I'm going to be in a box for an hour and a half.
I'm trying, and it had that feel of like, oh, he's trying to do some serious stuff as well. When I heard that, what the premise of the movie was, but I hadn't seen it, and this week is the first time I'd ever seen the movie. How about you? Had you seen it before?
Yeah, I had. The plot idea itself, or just the idea that we are going to have an entire movie take place inside of a coffin, intrigued me. It was just like, okay, this is it's a little bit of a gimmick, but at the same time too, it's like in a world where we're seeing so many of the same things over and over and over again in movies and stuff, when somebody goes, hey, we're going to try something wild and crazy and out there, I'm like, okay, let's go, give it a shot. So I remember seeing this in the theater. I just like, one of the things that stuck out to me then, even and now, of course, as well, is just how much blackness is in this movie. How many and that's also a little bit of a problem that I have with it. I'll just kind of start off with this one. I think that I watched Buried on Blu-ray. This needs a 4K like nobody's business. And the biggest reason why is a lot of this darkness and stuff like that. It doesn't really... Lionsgate did not have the stones to make your full screen go black, right? So, like at the beginning when it's there, it's like a light gray. It's not a stone cold black, and it's very annoying because when we get back up, when you show some stuff that is inside the actual coffin and stuff itself, the black levels get nice and inky black and everything. Why the other direction? Drives me bananas.
Show me things only Adam Portress would complain about. Ding, 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 ding. Never want to answer.
It is there. And I feel like there's so much information and stuff that's kind of gotten lost and whatnot. If you put like an HDR on this where the darks can be dark and the lights can be light, I think they would just pop this movie to all hell and back. So that's only my complaint about just the visuals from this, is just that the Blu-ray is very kind of low quality and everything. Give me something nicer, Lionsgate. I know you got the bread out there. You're one of the few people out there still putting out physical media, quite frankly.
I think they're probably going to hit this. I would imagine that at some point this is going to get a 4K, especially after just the breadth of Ryan Reynolds' career, and this is such an oddity that they would totally do that.
Yeah, but it would definitely benefit from that, and that's. But so, what was your kind of just overall impressions of it before we kind of get into anything? Was what were you expecting, if anything?
Oh, you want me to give what I thought was going to happen, or after I watched it, what do I think?
Well, yeah, I mean, either or. I'm like, yeah, what did you think this was?
What I thought it was going to be is what it was.
Okay.
I expected what you expect this movie to be is exactly what this movie is. The only thing that really kind of surprised me was that I thought that maybe he had gotten in without knowing anything about it, except for it's Ryan Reynolds buried in a box. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I hadn't expected is that he is not there of his own nefarious deeds.
Right. He's not somebody who screwed someone over and thus is buried in the box for, that retribution or something like that from a guy.
That's really the only thing that surprised me. And this is what that movie is.
Yeah. Another quick thing, just kind of from a presentation standpoint and everything, amazing sound in this movie. And if you have a 5.1 system, it is one of the great bits in this. And again, spoilers for all of this movie and everything, but when there is the snake crawling around in the background and stuff like that, it's so good because all of a sudden this crawling thing comes in those back channels at exactly where he's looking. So he's looking at you, and then the back channels, you hear that snake kind of, it's like, oh God, good stuff. Great sound design from just about everything. All the sand and stuff pouring in, very claustrophobic feel. And I say, if you want to see this movie at its ultimate form and everything, don't see it on a big TV. Don't see it you need to watch it on your iPad underneath your covers.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to see this movie.
That's get yourself in the most claustrophobic.
That sounds weird, but that is the way to see it.
Tiny little thing that you possibly can.
In the dark, in the pitch dark.
Pitch dark. So let's talk about just how this movie is kind of shot and everything, because this is
before that. I need to get into this before we get into any other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I have a tendency to be hyperbolic when I talk about movies and television shows. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's the way that I am. It is a fault of mine, and I'm working on it. With that being said, I have never hated a movie more than I hate this movie.
Wow.
I hate it with a blinding passion. This movie is an exercise. It's not an actual movie. This is a movie where they wanted to see if they could do it, but they didn't ask themselves if they should do it. And you just name checked the moment where I was like, this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen, is the snake. The moment we get to that snake, I was like, oh, I wasn't enjoying this movie before. Now I really, really hate this movie.
Hey, listen, who amongst us hasn't been lying down and a snake crawled up her pant leg and we didn't know for quite some time?
For a long time.
For a long time.
This movie is the dumbest movie. It is shot really well. You know what this movie is like? This movie is like a cameraman's dream. Like people who love like behind the camera stuff. This is your movie. When you don't care about like plot, when you don't care about acting performances, when you don't care if anything, if the script doesn't work in any way, but you just really think it's really cool that they were able to shoot a movie in one location with one actor. This is your movie.
All right, hold on. You think that his acting is bad?
It's terrible.
Really?
I was, because I don't believe him. It's Ryan Reynolds in a box the entire time. What is his character's name?
Chris. That's the character from Just Friends.
Exactly.
So they don't do a great job with that.
Because
Paul. His name's Paul. I'm fairly certain it's Paul.
So much like victims of violent crime, I had to disassociate while I was watching this movie, and I had to do a thought experiment, which was, who could do this role? Like, who could do this role in a way where you're like, oh, this is really good. Like, this is a good movie. Because never, not once, not ever do you not think that it's Ryan Reynolds acting in a studio. Not one time,
right?
At least for me.
Now, okay, I will say though, when's the last time you saw a Ryan Reynolds performance and you didn't see Ryan Reynolds?
Never.
Yeah.
He's always Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, I just double checking to make sure that that he's the quote unquote problem in this, I guess, or at least part of it. That you don't buy that.
I think the biggest problem is the script of this movie. It's of this quote movie, end quote. It is an experiment to see if they can make a movie. It's literally what this feels like. There's multiple things that I have problems with, but the Ryan Reynoldsness of it all, I had to start thinking like, who would work in this situation, and I couldn't think of an actor that would be perfect for it. But what I could come up with is, if you had an African American woman in the box, much better movie, because the stakes are higher just because of the way that things are in society.
Yeah. Well, it's really tough to sell Black Lady in a Box on the front of a marquee to people. I don't know.
It is hard to sell that. It is hard to sell that.
That's a weird one. We're just like, hey, guess what we got?
It's definitely hard to sell that. But immediately going into it beforehand, and I know that that's the big joke now. Make it gay and put a girl in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that's the big South Park joke.
But
however, in this case, it totally would work. in this one instance, that thing works. I understand. Like, I understand why people would like this movie. I totally get it. I know this is a matter of taste for me. I don't remember hating a movie as much as I hated this movie as I was watching it.
Man.
Yeah. I can remember a review that I hated reviewing more. The Dungeons and Dragons movie, where Bruce kept doing layups Like he was like, and we're gonna get 1 million more Dungeons and Dragons movies. Remember? And he was like all fired up about it.
Even the regular Dungeons and Dragons people are just going, "This is not going to happen for us."
Who's laughing now, fella? But
Chris Pine.
But for as far as watching a movie goes, for us, this is the movie I hate the most. And the reason why I hate it is because the people who made this movie are so smug about making this movie. You can tell by the camera work. You can tell by the way that they talk about this movie. Every person who is made this thing is so up their own ass about it because they think that they've done a great job. But what they've done is they did a film exercise and they made you pay for it to watch it. And I hate it with a blinding passion. I hate it.
I don't disagree that overall it is an experimental film to see if indeed that we could do that and not only because I'll tell you this. I think that obviously, I think anybody could have made a movie where a guy is in a box for an hour and a half, right? That anyone could do. But I at least now, and I'll grant you, script, other things like that, Snake, sure. But I thought, at least if nothing else, you would be able to then separate and just at least look from that like shooting art perspective here at everything of trying to make that sitting in a box for 90 minutes visually an entertaining thing.
They do. And that they do. Like, because I don't remember seeing the same shot. Like I mean, they must have, but
There's
I don't
so
remember.
many different angles and stuff.
That's what I mean. I don't remember ever seeing the same shot because I started noticing it like maybe because when you're, as you know, when you don't like a movie, you look for other things while you're watching it, or a TV show.
Yeah.
You watch the other things. It's the secret, everybody. If you do a podcast about a show that you don't really like, you try to find the good in it. I learned that from that Marvel TV show, that first Marvel TV show that came out. It's WandaVision.
Oh, yeah. That's true. You had to find the bits to enjoy.
Right. And so I started because I hate the soundtrack to this movie. I think that's terrible. I hate the acting performance is awful. The script is awful. So I got to find something. And so what I'm looking at is the camera. Like, what are they doing with the camera? And I'm sure that they had to have gone back to something that they had shot previously, but I didn't notice it, which means that they on purpose were shooting at different angles and different style for everything for the entire film, which is how they are thinking that they're making this interesting enough. But it was kind of cool that they didn't use the same shot, at least nothing that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, there would be setups that they would kind of go back to within like a particular scene or something like that, where you need to go back to like a face angle or something like that. That was kind of a previous setup thing. But he's always trying to make things interesting and shooting it from angles that you wouldn't think of, or any possible angle that you possibly could think of, plus more for shooting inside of just, such a confined space and everything.
And they do use that one camera trick early on in the movie where they do the 360 flipperoo, where he's looking to see what he can find once I think it's the cell phone starts going off.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty interesting shot.
That's a cool one, like the kind of side profile where they keep kind of pulling out and everything, and where he's like just floating in this void, this buried void that's out in the middle of nowhere. And of course, there's another shot, later on in the film where the walls of this thing just continue to go up and up and up. Like, and you're right, it is a little artsy fartsy. It's a little whatever, but for me,
I love artsy fartsy, as you know. I love artsy fartsy. This is not artsy fartsy.
It wasn't.
This is a movie where people love the smell of their own farts. This is a different thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I'm not going to sit there and say that they weren't, very happy of the product that they put out at the end of the day, but, now, listen, you listen. I don't care who you are.
No, you listen, Portrait.
I don't care who you are on this green earth. I don't believe that there is a single solitary chance that not even you, my friend, could badmouth Stephen Tobolowsky.
Oh, not at all. No, when his voice came in, I was like, oh, we got some Tobolowsky in this one. Nice.
It's at least a nice calming thing. But like, I also like how he's a piece of crap. That's great.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, but it's also the most accurate thing of what your insurance and work would end up doing to you if indeed that you got into any of these problems. Oh yeah, by the way, you've gotten buried. Well, it turns out we fired you yesterday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oops a doodle. No one's gonna get any money because you're dead.
Yeah. And once that happened too, spoilers for the end of the movie. Once they did that, I was like, oh, there's no way he's getting out.
Now, yeah. So, like, but what did you? Because I know you hated it. I'm sure. But did the dream sequence fool you at all?
Come on, man.
Did you go like, oh, here we go. We're finally going to get out of this movie, and then you're finally, oh, damn it, we're back in there again. He's still in that hole. Shoot.
I no, I didn't like it. I don't. No, of course I.
But you have a long history of enjoying dream sequences. I don't like. I'm looking through my notes here, and that's what I'm seeing.
I think
I just think it's strange that you would change your character like that through all these years. But okay, keep going.
What was first? Was the dream sequence or the snake first? I can't remember.
I think the snake was first.
Okay. Yeah. So at that point, I had already checked out. I was like, okay, we're done here.
It goes to white and you're like, oh, it's a dream. How about that? Clapping at the screen. Yeah, you did it again. Good job, Rodrigo. I like how you're mad at a guy who's like done one high profile film and the rest of them have just been kind of like meh. But
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's just
I'm just happy he doesn't have a career.
No, it's just you spend enough time around people who are busy high-fiving themselves all the time. You're like, okay. And that's what this movie feels like to me. It's just a constant like, can you believe how great we are? That's what this movie feels like. And
that's what the Boondock Saints feels like to me, everybody.
That is the same for me as well.
Because I look at that and I'm like, oh, these guys believe they are the coolest of the cool.
It's true. And look, this I good for them that they were able to make an hour and a half quote movie end quote out of nothing, because that's what they've done. But my word. And just because you change the light in the coffin doesn't make it different. Yeah, okay. So you found those glow sticks. I get it. Okay.
Listen,
great.
We've got incandescent, we've got iridescent, we got all the bulbs, baby. We do it all. We got 20, we got 5,700, 4,700 Kelvin. We do it all. We wild here in the coffin.
I read that this movie cost $2 million to make.
Yeah.
To which I ask, how? How did this movie cost $2 million?
Listen, when you're shooting in Beverly Hills and you gotta,
but they didn't. They shot it in Spain.
When you're shooting in Spain, haven't you heard about Spaniards? They are
the Spanish Union. Oh, get out of here!
Cutthroat, boy. They don't work over 6 hours without overtime. 6 hours. That's not even half a day. Unbelievable, these idiots. But they go over there and like, we're only going to shoot this much, and yeah, I mean, painting the cyclorama black in and of itself, that's like 4 coats. So quarter your budget.
At one point, somebody said, "Look, I didn't know that. I didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition." And then like 3 guys came running in and said, "No one expects the Spanish Inquisition."
Man, the snake wrangler, very expensive guy.
Oh my God!
Not just a dude that they pull up off the street.
I cannot tell you how crushed I was, because I wanted to like this movie. Like, just my soul left my body once that snake is in that stupid cat. I was like, oh man, I'm done. I am done with this. And it felt like it feels like such a waste of time to me watching this thing. It's just, we are deliberately wasting your time for an hour and a half.
You didn't
just
enjoy
to see if we can.
You didn't enjoy the fact that when the snake's tongue came out, you heard rattling sounds every time?
On
a snake that was not a rattling snake, but when its tongue flickers out, that's when you hear rattling sounds. That's how that works.
I half expect him to throw something off camera and you hear that same cat and take off.
Trash can get knocked over.
Exactly. Exactly.
There is a point where the snake goes through and the snake is escaping out of like a little hole in the coffin there and everything. And his cell phone is over in the corner. My guess is, by where said snake is and everything. Now, he waits till the snake is all the way through the hole before jumping to go get the cell phone that's currently ringing. When the snake's head's in there, you're in the clear, my guy. Go ahead and grab that cell phone. That tail's not going to come back and bite you. You're going to be A-okay. His head's all the way through there. He's leaving. You can just get the phone. Just pick it up. It's fine.
Is that your big problem with the movie?
That's my biggest gripe with it. I was just like,
everything else is perfect.
Everything else is fine, but his tail's just hanging out. Why? He's already gone. He's 3/4 of the way, and he's going like, well, until that tail finally leaves this coffin fully, I can't go in there. Oh, in case what? He turns right back around and snaps you one? Shut up.
When the cougar shows up in 24,
yeah,
or maybe it's a mountain lion.
Either or.
It's the same level of dumb as this.
Now, yeah, with as far as the snake goes, and I will say, even in the theater, that was one where I was just like, really, the snake? But I guess the thing that kills me, if the snake was fine, I would give you the snake, okay, if we didn't have the snake up the pant leg scene. I think the snake up the pant leg is what really kind of kills it and just goes like, what?
I was out way before that.
It was just like, listen, when Ryan Reynolds showed up on screen, I was like, no, thank you. And then, but
so do you think? Can you think of an actor that if they are doing this instead of Ryan Reynolds, does it make the movie? I mean, don't get me wrong. Ryan Reynolds is a great personality. I still like Ryan Reynolds. I don't think he's an actor.
I think this is one of, I'm going to crib it a little bit. I think it's one of the better acting performances that he's actually done. And I think that comparatively to many of the other stuff that you're in, I think that you do have a gripe there, is that most of the Ryan Reynolds stuff, he is very Ryan Reynolds. He's at least something slightly else in this one. He's not mugging too much in this, especially when we compare to, the 3 previous movies that we've seen with him, this month and everything. This is that more kind of dramatic role that makes you think that, like, oh, he might be able to do something a little bit more than just being quote unquote Ryan Reynolds. Even though, but I think you're right. I don't know that he's ever truly going to reach that status where we go, Ryan Reynolds, the actor.
I think he's a performer. I don't think he's an actor.
I'd say that's probably a fairly accurate statement.
And it's not like I dislike the performer. I think that in the right stuff, he's great. Like if you put him in the right role, he is great. And you know what you're getting, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, and if you're going to the store and you go, I want to pick up a Ryan Reynolds, you pick up a Ryan Reynolds. You know what you're expecting every time. He's kind of like McDonald's. You're going to go to each one, but you kind of it may not be the greatest in the world, but at least you know what you're getting where you're going.
You know what you're getting.
It's like, all right, I get that. Now, let me ask you this: as far as like when it comes to like being buried alive, any thoughts on that? Just from a real world perspective, you wake up, you're buried alive. What are your thoughts? Because I'm curious as to, because I'm trying to think. I'm like, Sean wakes up buried alive. What's your reaction?
Well, I mean, it would be awful. It would be awful. I mean, I don't want to be.
I wouldn't say that you'd wake up and I wouldn't think that like he'd wake up and go like, oh, finally, thank you.
I don't want to be buried alive.
Oh, let me write this down. I got to remember this for your birthday. Doesn't want to. Let me underline that. Doesn't want to get buried alive.
But not for a moment do I believe that Ryan Reynolds is buried alive in this movie. Like not a single moment do I think that man is in the desert in Iraq. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, it's the biggest problem. It's the same problem that I have with original Star Trek.
Sean, what are you talking about? You hear a mosque sound at some point. How do you not believe that he's in the desert? What are you, mad?
It's the original Star Trek problem, man. I don't believe that those people are on a spaceship. I believe that they're at a set at Studio City. And so I can't watch the original Star Trek series as much as I want to because it looks so cool. But I don't believe that they're on a spaceship. And so I can't like I every single bit of suspension of disbelief is gone with this thing. Like because they didn't do a good enough job making me believe he was buried in the desert in Iraq.
All right, I see what you're saying. You're mad that it was a wooden coffin and not a traditional coffin with your like velvet lining and everything and to make it look super nice. I think that's where your real problem. You want him to be in a real proper coffin and not some sort of wooden crate.
Let's get one thing clear: is I'm getting cremated when I'm dead. I'm not.
I would have put money on that one. I don't know why, but I did. I think I had that thought today when I was like, okay, podcast, blah blah blah, thinking about being buried and stuff like that. And I even had that thought. I was like, I bet you Sean's a cremation guy.
I am, and as a matter of fact, not to get too personal here, but after my job is done, I'm because it's a limited thing. I'm going to an estate lawyer to take care of all this so that my kids don't have to.
He's going to have his ashes sprinkled over Lake Minnetonka. It's going to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. That's where my heart is.
It's what he would have wanted.
Lake Minnetonka.
That's what we need to. That's what we need to do with all of our relatives and stuff that go. We just do wild and crazy things, but constantly proclaim that's what they would have wanted. Like, listen, Grandma would have wanted a live leopard at her funeral. Like, what? No, she'd want this. Believe me, it was one of her last wishes. She said it in a room when you were out.
I see what you're scratching around for. You're trying to figure out if I'm deathly afraid of being buried alive.
Yeah, now, you buried alive, drowning, fire. What's your worst?
Oh, drowning.
Drowning over fire.
Yes.
Okay. I think I'd go drowned over fire. I feel like drowning, your brain kind of will lose consciousness before you go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think fire is just nothing but pure ass pain all the way to the end.
It's true, but I'm not as afraid of that happening as I am of drowning.
He goes, I'm not near a whole lot of fire, but I am near water.
I'm sure it's far more painful to be set on fire than it is to drown.
Yeah, but you do have that last little thing with drowning where like I'd imagine you're very, very conscious of that last possible second.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be rough. That like your last little bit, you see it coming and like it's underwater. There's nothing you can do. Ooh, no, thank you.
Yeah, no thanks.
But I like, because I don't know, I've always liked the kind of buried alive kind of idea and stuff. I enjoy like the buried alive bit in Kill Bill, Volume 2, I believe.
That's great.
Real good stuff there.
But I will say this too. This is I could have put money on that you really like this movie. This is a very Adam Portress movie because you do like the experiment of seeing if you could make a movie for an hour and a half in a box. Like that is so what you like.
Yeah, and like I mean, for example, Christopher Nolan's Memento came out. People didn't know who Christopher Nolan was at that point, but I found the trailer for Memento via a DVD magazine. And that was one, and watching that trailer, and like they didn't even quite tell you how things were, non-linear and stuff within the trailer or anything, but it was just so intriguing enough where you're like, all right, I need to see whatever this is because it doesn't seem like anything else out there. And it had the lady from The Matrix in it. We'd seen her before and stuff. Or actually, had and the guy from The Matrix as well. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll check this out. And it was like one of those things where you're like, oh my God, this is this weird, crazy experiment of this, one timeline going backwards, one timeline going forwards, and the kind of meeting and the unreliable narrator type stuff. Really good. And it's like, I long for movies like that where we kind of go, all right, we're going to do something that we kind of done before, but we're going to take some different chances and do weird things. And I feel like while this movie does not reach to the heights where, you know, you're right, the screenplay is not spectacular. It definitely could use some work, but it's ambitious enough with what they did and how they did it and what they shot it for and everything that I can't look at this thing and just without just going, damn, they did it. They went out and did it. And I feel like more Hollywood films, not necessarily within this, you know, bottle location or idea or anything, but I think more Hollywood just needs to turn it down. They need to turn down the money machine. One of their big problems and stuff is that we're making movies that cost way too much money and that there's next to no odds on them getting actual decent enough returns for. And I think that we need to, you know, we still need to work on story, obviously, but I think maybe not gimmicks, but we need to start trying things that are a little bit different. And I think you can start doing those things by starting to limit the actual budget. Look at Blumhouse. Putting out $5 million movies and, you know, making 60, 70 million. And that's not even considered like a big hit for them, but they're still making plenty of money. And I think more studios need to like at least take inspiration and idea from small movies like this and your Blumhouse and stuff to go, maybe we need to find out how to shrink our dollars so ultimately we can maximize our gain and continue to make movies throughout the years as opposed to just going like, well, another tax write-off.
Well, there's with Blumhouse, for the most part, there's ideas, right? Like they have these small budgets, but there's ideas in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with this movie, with Buried, there's the one new idea, it's a
concept and not an idea. I think that's the difference.
You are right. It is a concept, not an idea. There's not a single new thought in this movie. Again, that's what happens when you are thinking mechanically instead of artistically, which is what I think is my biggest problem with this movie. And I just put that into words, is that this is just a mechanical thing. There's no art to this. And I can feel it. Like it feels like people who are uncreative thinking they're being creative is what this feels like.
Yeah, it's a style over substance, to be sure.
Yes, and don't get me wrong, I love style. I love it. I think I pay my mortgage through style, but I think that there needs to be more than that.
That's a T-shirt right there, by the way. I pay my mortgage. What? That's a T-shirt. I pay my mortgage through style. Hell yeah, that's a good shirt.
But I don't. It needs to be more than that. You know, there's nothing here. You know, I didn't see anything I've never seen before. I didn't hear anything I've never heard before in this. Like everything is rote. Everything is what you expect it to be. And it's and it was really hard to get through. Although I did get through it. Yeah. I did, and I was on my phone almost the whole time.
Speaking of kind of singular sort of being in a movie, did you ever see All Is Lost, 2013? Robert Redford is stuck on a boat.
No, I haven't.
I'd been curious of your thoughts on that because it's another one. Now he thankfully doesn't really have anybody to talk to, I suppose, but like he's very, very few words throughout the entire film, which is fine and probably what you would suspect. But at the same time, too, there's part of me like, I don't know about you. I talk out loud a bit.
Yeah, I do all the time.
So like to me, it's like when I'd be talking through this situation, at least, you know, trying to get my own thoughts in order and everything. But I do a lot of out loud thinking. So when I'm watching them go, you ain't saying nothing, boy, I'd be saying some things out loud right now going, what the hell? What the hell? If nothing else, you should be saying what the hell, or like, come on, something like that. Yeah. Instead of just struggling, trying to get, you know, X, Y, or Z to be fixed or whatever and everything, you know, throwing a damn it in there when you're upset that something doesn't work instead of just giving us a, 88-year-old Robert Redford on a boat. Don't let him out there, people. That's your problem.
You ever see The Old Man with a Gun, or The Old Man with the Gun? Robert Redford. He's a bank robber.
I think I saw that way back when. I don't quite remember. Or maybe I heard about it in a book, maybe.
It's pretty great. I want to say that it's not an old movie because maybe like,
Oh, no. I have seen that one. Sissy Spacek is in that, right?
yes.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that is a good movie, man.
Yeah.
And it's along those same lines of like Hell or High Water kind of a thing where you're like,
You think that you might not like this movie, but
Right.
you probably will like it if you watch it.
right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty great. And even though Robert Redford is as old as the hills, there is something so charming about him in
Yeah.
that movie.
He's sitting
Where
there and
you're
you're
like,
just
there
like,
it is.
oh, you understand. You understand that attraction. And like even at 80 years old, you're just like, yeah, I get it. That was the best story though, when he was auditioning for The Graduate. And the director's asking me, he just goes, listen, man, I don't think you're the right guy for this role. He's like, no, I'm perfect for this role. He goes, okay. You know how like when you're talking to a girl and you can't quite make it with her, right? He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, that's why you're not right for this role.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you don't understand what the Benjamin character would be like because you've never gone without ladies.
You've never been there.
You just opened the door at 17 and everyone was like, well.
I mean, just him and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I mean, is there a better looking man ever?
It's
Probably
unbelievable.
not.
It's like you put those two guys on screen. I mean, come on now, get real.
I mean, Paul Newman is the other guy, and you're considered the really handsome one of the
two. Your competitor's Paul Newman, and you're better looking than that guy. Huh? But the weird part is, though, you still do buy them as old kind of cowboys and stuff like that. You do. Not like Young Guns, where you're just I don't believe Emilio Estevez has ever ridden a horse. There's a bunch of bullcrap as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I've got a hot take on that movie.
Okay.
I think Young Guns 2 is better than Young Guns.
I think a lot of people would agree with that statement. I don't know that I've ever actually fully watched any of those movies because let's think of the concept.
The first Young Guns is so much of just like, hey, the Brat Packer Cowboys, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that great? Isn't that cool? Whereas the second one, it's about this old man who claims to be Billy the Kid. And he goes back, and you know that the movie thinks that this old man is Billy the Kid because it's just Emilio Estevez's really bad old man makeup. But like, the way that they deliver the story is so cool. And also, there's a John Bon Jovi song in it.
I was about to say, didn't we have a Jovi song in at least one or two of them films? Maybe all of them.
That Steel Horse I Ride song, that is in the second one, not the first one.
Oh, there we go. God, good song though. Don't care. I will sing a Bon Jovi at a karaoke. It is in my range. I'm right. I can do a Bon Jovi stuff. It's not the worst thing. You don't Aerosmith or not Aerosmith either. Some of those you're like, no, I can't hit them high notes. Jovi, he keeps it nice and low for everybody.
To steal a line from 30 Rock. I got 2 ears and a heart, don't I?
All right, everybody. It is now time in the show for our recommendations and ask the most important question we can muster on this podcast. Is Buried from 2010 art or fart, Sean?
It's fart. It is so farty. This is the most farty movie we've seen thus far with the new format. This is the low bar for me. I can't imagine watching something where I'm like, you know what? This is worse than Buried for me. I'm not saying Buried is a bad movie. I can totally see people being like, this is totally my jam. I love this movie. It's just not for me at all. It's like everything that I can't stand. So for me, it's farts all day.
Farts all day for Sean. It's a light art for me. I like this. I like there's a reason that I recommended it for the show and everything because yeah, it is an experimental thing. It is starring the guy who's our focus for this month with Ryan Reynolds, and a lot of the questions that we were asking is Ryan Reynolds a good actor? And like this is a movie where he is the only actor on screen for the entire thing. So depending upon your mileage may vary, but you do get to see him and him alone pretty much act in this entire thing. So Yeah,
So you haven't said yet. I have. I've let my feelings known that
Mhm.
I don't think that Ryan Reynolds is an actor. I think that he's a performer. So I don't think he's a good actor. But you haven't said yet. Do you think that Ryan Reynolds is a good actor?
I think he has the potential to be. I
Oh,
will
you
say
think that he
that.
hasn't done it yet?
Not to now I haven't seen was it him or Gosling who was in the nines? I think it was him. That
I
was
couldn't tell you.
I think that was like one of the earlier it's before these films even I believe that there was more of a dramatic kind of thing. I maybe that's probably the one that I think people would point to, though I can't I don't I feel like I saw it, but I don't really remember. Um I feel like a lot of comedic actors and stuff, if and you scratch the surface enough, you can find a lot of darkness. I think that's why Jim Carrey is a good actor. That's why I think Adam Sandler is a good actor. These are guys that can do that funny stuff, but there is a level that the funny comes from a pain a lot of times.
You know what? There's our medium. There's our median line right there. That's the line of actors for me.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam Sandler, right? Adam Sandler is somebody who, when he wants to be great, he is great.
Yeah.
And when he isn't on, he is the worst. So he's really like the median line for an actor. So if Adam Sandler was going to put on like a class for acting,
Mm-hmm.
would you say, "Hey, Ryan Reynolds, you need to go to Adam Sandler's acting school"?
I could say he could sit in. Wouldn't be the worst. Wouldn't be the worst idea. Because
There you go.
I mean, if you just take his work with the Safdies alone,
Yeah.
like it's unbelievable. Like the guy, I
Yeah.
mean, and we were talking, previously on probably a Dinger Zone or pre-show or whatever about like Punch Drunk Love and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Guy got range and like
Yeah, he's great in
when called upon and given the right material, honed by the right person and everything, dude can really kill it. And I wish to death that he would have been able to do the Bear Jew and Inglourious Bastards.
Oh my God.
That was originally written for him.
Oh, that would have been amazing. We're going by the same standard. There are a couple of movies I've seen where I forget that he's Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
I cannot say that
Uncut
about
Gems,
Ryan
you don't
Reynolds.
watch Uncut Gems and see Adam Sandler in that role.
It's true.
You don't.
True.
You see this swarmy jewelry guy who is like, and he lives in that role, and it absolutely works. And I think, given the proper material and stuff, I think Ryan Reynolds could do that. But like, I think especially even at this particular time in his career and everything, why would he?
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't need to.
You don't need to do any of that. Why do extra hard work and stuff when you can do If on a green screen and Fall Guy on a green screen in like 2 months, and just bang out those films, and they pay you an assload of money to do it? Ring them bells, baby. That's what I'd be doing. You can act all serious and stuff in your 60s.
Yeah.
Wait till then. You're a young enough looking man. You're gonna be fine for many a more year. You can have that Robert Redford career where you're a handsome man, in his 80s or whatever doing stuff. But you got to remember, Robert Redford, really good actor.
Yes, he really is an amazing actor.
He ain't just handsome. He's a good actor also.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why people kept comparing Brad Pitt to him too young, because I think that Brad Pitt eventually became a good actor. I don't think he was a good actor for a long time.
It took him a bit.
But once he got there, he got there. And I think that that's basically the trajectory of Brad Pitt is Robert Redford's career. I can't imagine Ryan Reynolds, even 10 years from now, being able to call the shots for whatever movie. Like, I just don't see it. I think that he is going to have the kind of career where he's going to make a nice spice in your movie, but he ain't going to be leading it.
I think you're correct. I think, and maybe we're looking a little too far into the future here right away, but maybe this Deadpool Wolverine, maybe this is the last go of this kind of stuff, and perhaps we get a different Ryan Reynolds after this. Because how long can you keep ringing this bell, I wonder?
I would think that they're probably going to bring him back for one or two X-Men movies, and probably an Avengers movie, and that's probably the last we see of him as Deadpool.
Yeah,
unless it makes $2 billion, and then we can expect to see another Deadpool movie. Too sweet.
Yeah, that's ultimately, I think that's probably the part that I think is going to happen, and sadly become the reality, is that Deadpool Wolverine is going to do smashingly well. It might not, but my guess is that it's gonna, and it's going to do very well. It's gonna make enough money to where they're gonna want to do it again. I mean, like you said, we got Inside Out 2 for the love of Pete. We got 4 Toy Story movies. Why? We only needed 1, and 2 was really good. 3 was really good. But wait, now we're on 4 and 5. Get out of here. There's too many. Just quit. Just pump the brakes. Well, we don't know how to quit over here, I'll tell you that much, because next week we are continuing on this Ryan Reynolds / Hugh Jackman, but we're leaving Ryan Reynolds around for just a moment. We're putting him on the back burner. We're shifting over to our boy, Hugh Jackman. I don't know if you've seen this Hugh Jackman guy, but kind of a big deal.
Pretty good actor,
pretty good singer, pretty good dancer, and your boy has lifted a weight or two from time to time.
It's true.
So we're gonna study a lot of Hugh Jackman's career here and everything. We couldn't do a lot of early Hugh Jackman and stuff because, quite frankly, he just blew up in X-Men '99, and then it was just kind of off to the races for this guy.
It's kind of crazy because he did come out of nowhere. I don't know how he must have killed that audition because he literally came from nothing.
It's even worse than that. He wasn't even supposed to be in that movie. That was Dougray Scott.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
And then it was just like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to put this guy in there. He's like the Aragorn of X-Men movies,
It's pretty amazing.
Wild stuff. We'll get into that and a whole bunch of other stuff, but we're going to start off Hugh Jackman month with Real Steel from 2010. That's right. We got a robot fighting movie. I'm excited for this. I saw it in the theater. I own it on the Blu-ray and everything, so I am super excited to come back to this one. Sean, what else do we got going on the internet?
Oh, we've got another show called The Acolyte 30 Questions, Star Wars 30 Questions, where each week we ask 30 questions of the latest episode of Disney Plus's series, The Acolyte. And we're about to record that in about 5 minutes. So stick around for that, won't you?
Oh, you definitely should, because there's a lot of things to be talking about with that show. It's we'll say something else. And if you'd like to find out what that something else is, head on over to Star Wars 30 Questions. Ooh, nice.
Hey.
That is it, everybody. Join us next week as we kick off Hugh Jackman month with Real Steel from 2010. For Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet, the absent Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porteous, reminding you that the only difference between art and fart is an F.